Kia ora tātou, welcome back to the Wargaming Den. Second battle of the weekend. Today popped down to Dunedin to have a game of Battlegroup versus Richard. Keith and I went down and we used my 20mm World War II British force that I've been working on, and the battle we were doing is one of the scenarios out of the rulebook called High Grund, and I chose to attack. Always find it more interesting trying to figure out how to attack when figuring out rules in a new game, and as you will see, I might have a few things still to learn on how to conduct an attack, but let's crack on with the game, shall we? So here's my 600 point British infantry motor rifle list. Actually, I've been busy building Plastic Soldier Company kits over the last few weeks, and now have a force that I am happy to field. So I've got 3 motor rifle sections in M5 half tracks. There's an HQ, Ford Observer, and a Dingo Scout car. For support, there's a Vickers medium machine gun and mortar, 3 Cromwells and a Firefly, 2 Humber armoured cars. I added the second Humber at the last minute, dropping a 4th platoon of infantry, and as you'll see, might have been better off taking more infantry, more boots on the ground, as the old saying goes. For artillery support, I took a Ford Observer and had 2 off-board 25-pounders, and also took a combat engineer platoon because I was expecting some fortifications, and finally had a supply truck to keep my tanks supplied. So total force had a battle rating of 39. Richard had come up with a very flavourful force and very different to what I was expecting. After our last couple of games, I was expecting there to be some kind of mobile anti-tank Stugs or Marders or something like that, but wasn't to be. Instead, he'd gone for a very infantry heavy force, and you can see this shot showing his army assembled, that it was a very nice looking and flavourful force. So had a grenadier platoon, and they also had a PaK 36R, one of the Russian guns, captured and rechambered, and a 7.5 centimetre infantry gun. He then had his reserves were a Luftwaffe Field Division platoon, which I think they were lesser rated troops. I'm not sure what their rating was, but they had a medium mortar and a PaK 36, PaK 9738, one of the captured French pieces. Ford Observer, 120mm mortar, a SIG 33, 150mm infantry gun, an 88 AA, and a 2 centimetre flak, and a supply wagon. And it had a very funny event happen to it during the game. Hopefully I'll remember to explain that as we go. And finally, he had some trenches and dugouts for his guns that definitely helped keep the 88 in action for a lot longer than Keith and I hoped it would. But as I said, very flavourful force, looks really cool. Let's have a look at the table and deployment and things like that. Right, let's have a look at deployment. We started with half of our forces off table in reserve, and they could come on from about turn 4, and the rest started on table. So the British, we started with a couple of Cromwells on table down here. One's just out of sight. Our Ford Observer and a Dingo medium machine gun, infantry section in half track. That's our mortar, spotter, Humber, and may have been a commander somewhere around as well. Made a bit of a mistake with counting how many units we had, and we probably ended up having 1 unit too many on table to start with, which was a bit of a mistake on my behalf. These circles here, here, and here, they are the 3 objectives, so we've pretty much captured 1. Wanted to try and get this one at the crossroads, broken down car, and didn't really like our chances up here. So Richard had set up a really nice table, had a line of fortifications, trenches, dugouts along the hedge line here. There's a PaK 36R there, infantry. I think that's a 75mm infantry gun back there, medium machine gun in a bunker. the flak 88 had great fields of fire down through this way and also down through here and right out as far as there. So I had a great field of fire, and the Pak 36R kind of had a field of fire covering that section too. So Keith and I really had to try and neutralize one or both of these guns to give ourselves some mobility. We'd decided that we were going to just try and work between this wood and work our way around to this field and through, trying to neutralize this gun if we could, and also use our artillery spotters to deal with the 88 if we got a chance. So yeah, so that's where we are at. It's a very nice looking table. Let's have a look at turn one. So here we go, turn one. Not a good start for us. We tried to pin the anti-tank guns but didn't quite succeed, and in reply we lost 2 half tracks to anti-tank fire, and we ended up having 3 sections pinned as well. So not ideal. Some long-range sparring in turn 2 between artillery strikes. The German mortars landed on this infantry that had just unpinned at the cost of a chit marker at the end of our turn, and promptly killed 5 and pinned them again, which was rather unsporting. Our artillery, 25 pounders, dropped suppressive fire on this position and managed to pin most things. So it's a bit of an artillery duel, but we will see turn 3. And unfortunately I didn't remember to take enough overhead shots, but here's a good overview of turn 3. The table's sloped. Richard's done a really nice job of having a slope up towards the top of hill 112 over here. My forward observer had got into this building, the Humber, and this is my platoon commander. He's in that building there spotting and draws a lot of fire. You know, you're having a bad day when your opponent is using an 88 to snipe your forward observer in a building because there's no other valid targets really. Richard and I spent 2-3 turns focusing on the Pak 36R. We pinned it a couple of times and slowly whittled it away, and eventually we did take it out, but we lost the half tracks, and we also that turn lost another Cromwell. This field here got hammered by German artillery, and the fall of shots tended to drift over this way and plaster these two sections. A couple of times the artillery actually drifted too far and fell off the table, but we were joking throughout the game about how long after the war it was going to be before anyone was going to be able to cultivate in this field, because there was a lot of ordnance dropped in it. So I kind of got just some command troops here, but I decided it was a bit too exposed trying to get through this way, and so that's why we decided to try. We've got a wood here, try and get round, but we ended up just getting bottled up, and it became a bit of an artillery drill for much of the game. But yeah, the Germans, that's their forward defensive line. All they've got to do is hang in there and shoot at targets for opportunity. Good positioning of the various guns by Richard, good lines of sight, and they're able to cover each other. So we needed to deal with the 88, we needed to deal with the Pak 36R, then try and swing round and unhinge the German defences. That's what I'm saying our plan is, and that's what I'm going to stick to at this stage. Okay, end of turn 4. The British are slightly stalled. The platoon commander has just been pinned. We've lost a few vehicles, and we've been trying hard to pin the anti-tank defence with limited success so far. The artillery duel continues, and we need a charge of the light brigade, I reckon. Turn 5, artillery immobilised a Firefly, pinned an armoured car. The little armoured car that could charge the Germans, drawing as much fire, which was pretty much everything on the table, but survived, and it thinks it's about to turn the tide in the British favour. So from a slightly different angle. So here's the two Humber armoured cars. All our reserves are coming on now. They came racing up here. One got hit by artillery and pinned here. The other one advanced. And there were 88 shells rocketing across the front of this one. It took incoming fire from about 3 different anti-tank guns. The Pak-36R's been knocked out though. Richard's just doing what he needs to do. He's keeping his men in cover. He's shooting at any targets of opportunity. There's been a bit of a gun duel between the Cromwells up here. This is the third Cromwell, has run out of ammunition and has gone back to replenish and change our load from a mix of HE and armour piercing to all high explosive. The Sherman unfortunately has no high explosive and managed to get himself immobilised for the rest of the game. So he's got 1 machine gun and not much in the way of targets. So he can still fire armour piercing rounds at the anti-tank guns up on the hill out to the right. Yeah, we've been taking a lot of incoming fire. Our mortars and artillery have been sporadic, would be a good way to describe it. Been rolling quite a few 1s and 2s trying to get orders through to get artillery strikes and things, but it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, we've kind of got ourselves bogged down a bit much in here. But my hope is to get the Humber zooming forward, suppressing the infantry that are coming onto the table, and just trying to act as a bit of a decoy to open the way. Our armoured car that was going to get a Victoria Cross had it all lined up, unfortunately ran over a mine and blew up, but otherwise it's all under control. We know exactly what we're doing. Do not let any videos convince you otherwise. Now, if you think that this shot looks very similar to previous shots, that's probably because it is. The artillery duel is continuing. This is the 25 pounders orders, and that's the observer. We've tried to make a little bit of progress here, but we are pretty stalled and stuck. We just can't manage to knock out this dug-in 88. It is it's missing us in return a lot, but we just can't finish it off. And meanwhile, Richard's reinforcing the front line with the reserve Luftwaffe field division troops have been coming on. And yeah, the AA gun. We've got lucky a couple of the chit orders. We've had a couple of airstrike counters by now, I think, but neither of those actually came in. So, but at least they weren't damage counters for us. But we are taking quite considerable losses. I just moved this machine gun up the turn before, and it had taken a shot at the 88, and then return fire from something just knocked it out. So there goes another chit for us, and I'm trying to get our pioneers just advancing in the courtyard. That's them there. They've just moved up into this building here, hoping to be able to make some progress. I'm not. Turn 7, we've finally made some progress. That's what we're telling HQ. We've moved the Cromwells forward. The Germans are reinforcing their front line with lots of rubbish from the Luftwaffe. And I'd like to say that it's looking promising, but I don't think at this stage it is. Now, towards the end of turn 7, we took another loss, drew a chit, and we ended up getting a mine strike. And unfortunately, the only mobile unit in the German army that had just come on the table happened to be a supply wagon, which promptly ran over a mine and blew up. So there were bits of breakfast for the German forces strewn all across the French countryside. That is what we call karma, ladies and gentlemen. The British have given up trying to advance. They're just going to throw what artillery they can and hope for the best. Turn 8, about to turn 9 maybe?
Turn 9.
Moving on to turn 9.
Outrageous.
So turn 9, the main thing that happened was these infantry advanced and took out the Cromwell that the 88 over here has been shooting at for several turns, months even. So this is going to be the last turn. The British are wavering. And there we have it. Early on in turn 10, we drew another chit, having lost something else, and that broke the British morale. We got over our 39, but the Germans were on 33, so they weren't too far away either. So there we have it, the end of the game. So a clear victory to the Germans. We just got stalled early on and just couldn't get any forward momentum. Unfortunately, we tried to hammer that 88 as much as we could, but Richard kept making his saves, and or we kept failing our opportunities to bring in our artillery. And because we weren't able to clear it, we weren't able to make too much forward progress, unfortunately. Definitely a bit of a challenge trying to attack in that one, but when playing a new game, as I said, really like to try and attack, figure out how to attack with the rules. Struggling a wee bit comparing it to games like Flames of War, basically because in games like Flames of War we would have just smoked the crap out of that 88 and ignored it and moved on, but without having a smoke option, and that's just the way the rules are. So I need to figure out an alternative. Maybe a couple of airstrikes might have helped us, or some pre-arranged artillery, but not one of our finest endeavours in attacking. And maybe it's a bit of an example of how not to attack, but all games are learning games. It was an absolute blast of a game. We had a lot of fun. I was getting confused between O group and battle group at times, and just following the lead of the others really, because I was a bit lost as to which rules applied to which game. But after that O group game, which had a lot of maneuver because of the combat patrols, this game played very, very differently. Richard did the right thing. He just played it as he needed to. He stayed in his fortifications, he used his anti-tank guns and artillery, and rained down death and destruction, and we really ended up not having too much of an answer to it. So good game though. Yeah, well done, Richard. You thoroughly deserved the win. Absolutely stunning table again. It's a real pleasure to play on tables like this, and I hope the photos in the video give them justice. So yeah, maybe not the world's best example of a battle report, but I think it's a good example of how new players start to try and figure out how the game plays. Or, you know, Keith's had quite a bit of experience with the rules though, and I was taking his lead from his lead quite a bit, but yeah, we just didn't quite get there this time. But luckily in Wargaming, there is always the next game, and hope to get back down in another month or so and have another game, all things going well. So yeah, once again, as per usual, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you hung around to the end. Like and subscribe if that's your thing. But otherwise, until next time, ka kite anō. Take care, everybody.